Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. So we are continuing with Bhagavad Gita as it is, chapter number 7, text number 19. Bahunam janmanamante jnanavan mam prapadyate Vasudevah sarvam iti sa mahatma sudurlabha. Translation by Srila Prabhupada. After many, many births and deaths, he who is actually in knowledge surrenders unto me, knowing me to be the cause of all causes and all that is. Such a great soul is very rare. Om Agyanatimirandasya Gyananjana Shalakaya Chakshur Unmlitam Yena Tasmai Shri Gurave Namaha. So this is Hare Krishna Isel. So this is a one of the most important verses of the Bhagavad Gita. So, but before I start, I would like to wish you all a very happy Dasera. Dasera is celebrated on a very high scale, especially in India, and of course across the world also. And we have heard that from the scriptures that in Treta Yuga, Lord Ramachandra had killed Ravana on this day. And so the celebration today is of a victory of good over evil. So this is the Dasera. So happy Dasera to all of you. So today's verse and the few verses that I'll take today, it's from verse 19, which I read up to 23. Krishna is going to explain to Arjuna the difference between worshipping him and worshipping the demigods. So in this verse, he says, Bahunam. Bahunam means after many births. Gyanavan, the one who is in knowledge. Mam prapadyate. Krishna says, that person surrenders unto me. And what is the knowledge that person has? Vasudeva Sarvamiti. That person understands that Vasudev, Krishna, is a cause of all causes. He's all in all. But then he says, Sa Mahatma Sudurlabha. Mahatma means great soul. Sudurlabha means very rare. So it's very rare to find people who actually have the knowledge about Krishna, who he is, about everything about him. Such a person is very rare. And such a person is called Mahatma, Maha-Atma, great soul. So when he says after many, many births, that means after many births going through the whole evolutionary cycle, one gets a human form. You see, according to the scriptures, there are 8.4 million species of life. 8.4, out of which 3 million different species of animals, and 2 million are plants and trees. 1.1 million is insects and reptiles, 900,000 aquatics, and only 400,000 species of human beings, which is very rare. So, based on one's piety accumulated in the previous births, one gets the opportunity to hear the Bhagavad Gita. And what does Bhagavad Gita talk about? It gives us a knowledge about who we are, who is the Supreme Lord. We understand he's the cause of all causes. And gradually, then we can become a Mahatma, which means a great soul, which is very rare, you see. So a Mahatma is a person, that great soul is one who understands the ultimate goal of life, you see. Goal of life is not eat, sleep, and be merry. No. Human form is a form of responsibility. We have philosophical intelligence so that we can understand, right? We can understand what's right, what's wrong, what to do, what not to do. So to be able to reach that stage, to become a Mahatma, one has to become contamination free. No more material contamination. You see, if one is too attached to materialistic life, then it becomes very difficult to perform devotional service. And here Krishna is saying, Mam prapadyate, which means surrendering unto me. And surrendering is possible only through the practice of bhakti yoga. There is no other way. Because by performing bhakti yoga, we will be able to understand the Supreme Lord Krishna. That should be the highest goal, and which is very rare. Actually, most people don't even have a goal in life. And those who have, not everyone has the ultimate goal in life, you see. So, if one wants to become a Mahatma, then one needs to surrender. And surrender will be possible when we actually have gratitude. We are grateful, first of all, grateful to have a human form, grateful for everything the Lord has given us, right? Krishna has given us everything. He's given us free air, free light, free heat, free water, everything. He's given us a free body, a body that can, help us achieve the ultimate goal in life. So gratitude can help us to surrender. Now, in the very next verse, number 20 of this chapter, Krishna is explaining about the difference between worshiping him and worshiping the demigod. So what he says is that this is very strong words, and many people don't like to hear this, but sometimes the truth is not very pleasant. So he says that those whose intelligence is stolen by material desires, they are the ones who surrender to the demigods. Krishna is very clear. He's saying person who surrenders to demigods is less intelligent. Why? Because they are interested in immediate fulfillment of their desires. They want quick results. They want, their motivation is only to fulfill their material desires, you see. So material desires are very small and they are temporary, right? Today we have something, tomorrow we don't. So why go for small desires which are temporary? Why not have big desires? Why not have permanent solution to all our problems, right? So then one may say, well, the demigods are worshipped based on the scriptures. Vedas recommend worship of demigods, but that is for various purposes, right? Demigod worship is for different purposes. For instance, if a person is diseased, has a lot of diseases, then it is said that if that person worships the sun god, then there is a possibility of curing oneself. If one wants a lot of money, then it's recommended to worship Lakshmi Devi, right? Goddess Lakshmi. If one wants to be very well educated, have a lot of education, then worship Goddess Saraswati. If one wants a very nice husband, then worship Lord Shiva. But then people forget Krishna is telling Arjuna that all the benefits or benedictions given by demigods actually come from me. Krishna says they all come from me. The demigods know their position. They know that they cannot give benediction without permission from Krishna. The benedictions come from Krishna to the demigods, to the people in general. So why go through the demigods? Why not just go directly to Krishna? Because he is the source of all the benedictions, right? See, we as human beings, now this is not there in other species of life, only in human form, we have what we call the minute independence. where we can decide what kind of desires to have and which ones we want fulfilled, etc., etc. But we forget that the sanction has to come from the Lord, from Krishna. And when we worship the demigods, those who worship the demigods, they don't realize that the fruits that they receive as benediction is temporary and limited. You see? So Krishna is telling Arjuna, instead, worship me, come to me, I will give you permanent happiness. And in the process, one can become a Mahatma, a great soul, which is very, very rare, right? And if we perform bhakti yoga, then we will experience permanent happiness. See? Now, in the very next verse, number 21, Krishna is explaining to Arjuna that he's situated in everyone's heart. See? Sarvasya chaham hridi sanivishto. Krishna says, I'm situated in everyone's heart as a super soul. You see? So because we have that minute independence, we get the opportunity to make choices. You know, we desire. So Krishna says if one desires to worship demigods, then he says, I make their faith steady in that because that's what they are desiring. You see? So when one has that desire, then Krishna says that person's faith becomes steady over there. He does not interfere with our independence, that minute independence that we have, he does not interfere at all. You see, just like when we go grocery shopping, we go. So say if for instance, we go to Kroger or Publix or Walmart, we have so many options, right? Because it's not that everybody has the same desire, that everybody wants just one product. No, different people want different products in the grocery stores. Say, for instance, milk. There's so many options. Oat milk, almond milk, coconut milk, regular milk, fat-free, 2%, whole milk. So many options are there. Why? Because people have different desires. The choice is given. So we have to make an intelligent choice. Similarly, we need to make an intelligent choice as far as spirituality is concerned. You see, it's important to understand from this chapter 7 of Bhagavad Gita, especially these few verses where Krishna is explaining the difference between worshipping him and worshipping the demigods. Now, since he has given us that minute independence, he does not force us. If he wants, he can, but then that would not be love, right? Say, supposing, someone puts a gun on my head and says, you got to love me. Well, out of fear, I may say, yes, 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 I love you. But that is not real love. That is by force, right? It's at gunpoint. So Krishna, if he wants, he can force us, but that is not love, right? Love has to come from within. And that is possible when we take on knowledge from Bhagavad Gita and try and understand and make the right choices. See, right choices will help us to remain peaceful and happy in life. In fact, in chapter 5, we learned the peace formula, right? Bhoktaram Yagna Tapasam Sarvalokam Maheshwara. If we can understand that Krishna is the ultimate enjoyer, he is the cause of all causes, he is our best friend, he is the supreme lord of everyone, even the demigods. When we understand all that, then we will be peaceful. So Krishna is saying that even worshipping demigods is not possible without his permission. Even demigods are aware that people in general cannot worship them without the sanction from the Supreme Lord. So how does it work? We desire, Krishna sanctions it. But that sanction is important. And the thing to understand is that the demigods cannot give us benediction without Krishna's permission. Like it is said, not even a blade of grass moves without his sanction. Not even a blade of grass. So, how can demigods offer benediction without the permission of Krishna? That's not possible. Why? Because demigods, they understand they are also part of Krishna. Now, when we will come to chapter 11 of the Bhagavad Gita, Krishna will demonstrate, he will show, he will give proof that all the demigods are within him, within his body, because they are his parts. You see, just like in a company, there is the owner of the company, he's the CEO. And then there are managers under him who work to run his business, like finance manager, marketing manager, HR manager, all different managers. So the managers are not the owners or the CEO. They have to get the permission from the CEO for whatever decisions they make. Similarly, the demigods are administrators. They are the ones who run this material world based on the instructions from Krishna himself. You see, so we need to understand the position of the demigods. We need to understand the position of Krishna also, that according to the scriptures, he is the Supreme Personality of Godhead. So the demigods understand, and so we also need to understand the difference between worshipping Krishna and worshipping the demigods. Now, Krishna is in the hearts of the demigods also. You see, when we read chapter 10 of the Bhagavad Gita, we'll get a lot more knowledge. So we need to understand all this with the help of knowledge. It is not blind faith. It's not that we just, excuse me, just because I'm saying it, you accept it. No, it's there in the scriptures. Bhagavad Gita is the oldest scripture in the entire creation. It's 120 million years old. And it is it's a summary of the Vedic literature, you see, of the Vedas. So we need to understand that we desire, but the sanction has to come from Krishna. And we need to depend on Krishna's will and his sanction. See? Now, in verse number 22, Krishna is telling Arjuna that those who endeavor with faith to worship the demigods, they may obtain those desires. But understand, Arjuna, those desires are bestowed by me. Those benedictions are bestowed by me alone. We may forget, but the demigods never forget that the benedictions come from Krishna. So why not go to the reservoir of benedictions, right? Krishna is the reservoir of all the benedictions. Why not just go to him? So devotional service and demigod worship, they are not on the same platform. No. Demigods are not separate gods. No. They are parts of Krishna, just like we all living entities are part of Krishna. You see? Just like there is a tree. So there are the roots, then there's the bark, there are branches, there are leaves and flowers and fruits or whatever. So there's a difference, right? All the other parts of the tree are not the roots. Roots are separate. So when we water the root of the tree, the whole tree gets nourished. All the parts of the tree get nourished. Similarly, when we worship Krishna, all the demigods also get worshipped. They also get satisfied. You see, this is how we need to understand. But then again, the Lord has given us freedom of choice. We choose. What do we want to do? Do we want to, continue to enjoy the senses and have material desires? And so we worship demigods and get those benedictions which are temporary and, which do not give permanent happiness. Or do we want to break the cycle of birth and death and worship Krishna and go back to the spiritual world. See, but if we want to go back to the spiritual world, then these material desires will actually be impediments on our spiritual paths. You see, because these material desires, they are again temporary. The results also are temporary. So if we want to not have impediments on our spiritual path, then we need to somehow or the other cleanse our heart of all material desires. You see, the devotees who have purified themselves, right? Pure devotees, they do not run after material benefits because they know that all these are going to be impediments on their spiritual path. You see, if Krishna says that if one goes to worship the demigods for material benefit, then they are considered to be less intelligent. And I don't think anybody in this world likes to be called less intelligent. We want to consider ourselves very intelligent, but here Krishna is making it very, very clear. So the last verse for today is number 23. Again, a very strong verse. Krishna says people with small intelligence worship the demigods. Small intelligence, which means less intelligent. Why? Because this human form of life is a special benediction. In this human form of life, we have philosophical intelligence by which we can choose to do the right thing, by which we can become spiritually enlightened and make this human form a success. This is the only boat that can help us cross over this material world. This body is like a boat, and it can take us across this material world onto the spiritual world. So human form is meant for preparing to go back to the spiritual world and not to try and fulfill temporary material desires. No. So if we understand the position of demigods, and if we understand the position of Krishna also, that, Krishna is the Supreme Lord and demigods are parts of the Supreme Lord. Another example I can give is, Prabhupada gives, is about we human beings eating. Now, we have different senses, eyes, ears, nose, we have hands and legs and all. So, the senses may say, well, we do all the work and the stomach is the one that enjoys it all. You see, we put the food in the mouth, it goes to the stomach. And then the senses think, well, why not we feed ourselves? So, the hand takes the food and puts in the eyes or the ears or the nose. This is not how it works. When the food goes in the mouth and it goes to the stomach, the digestion takes place and the whole body gets nourished. You see, there's no need to feed the senses separately, different parts of the body separately. No, there's no need. So that is the difference between demigod worship and Krishna. When we worship Krishna, we are satisfying all the demigods also. You see, this is how we need to understand the difference between worshipping demigods and worshiping the Supreme Lord Krishna. Now, Krishna also talks about the destination. Now, let's say I want to go from point A to point B. I decide what my point B is going to be, right? So based on that, the GPS is going to take me to point B. That is my destination. Excuse me. So similarly, we as human beings, you should use our intelligence and decide our ultimate destination. So those who worship the demigods, Krishna says, they go to the planets of the demigods. But Krishna says those who worship me, they come to me. Now one may say, what's wrong in going to the planet of demigods? There's another beautiful verse. A Brahma Bhuvana Loka Punar Avartino Arjuna Mamopetya tu kantena punarjanmana vidyate. Krishna says, even if one goes to the highest material planet, which is Brahmaloka, demigod worship takes you to different planets. He says, even the highest material planet, Brahmaloka, one has to come back into this material world. Mamopetya, but those who come to me, to my planet, which is the spiritual planet, Punarjanmana Vidya, they do not take birth again in this material world. You see, but they go back to the spiritual world, which is Krishna Loka. So we see from the scriptures, we understand the difference between material planets and spiritual planets. There's a difference, right? So, in fact, of course, we want to know more about these planetary systems. Then we need to study Srimad Bhagavatam. So Bhagavad Gita is a high school level and Srimad Bhagavatam is a graduate level. So once we understand Bhagavad Gita, then we can try and understand the Bhagavatam, which gives a lot more information, a lot more knowledge about these planetary systems as well. There is what you call a very common, especially in India, a very common saying, all roads lead to the same destination. That doesn't make sense at all. All roads lead to same destination. How come? How is that possible? Can all the roads from Atlanta go to New York? No, some go to California, some go to Florida, some go to Texas. So many different destinations are there. So all roads do not lead to same destination. That means worshipping the demigods doesn't mean reaching Krishna. No, it's not the same destination. So we need to make a choice and decide, where do I want to go? You see? And based on the choice we make, then we follow that path. You see? So if my destination is the spiritual world, then I need to worship Krishna. But if my destination is, to go to the highest material planet, which is Brahmaloka, then I worship Lord Brahma. Simple as that. So we make the choice, where do we want to go? So now we understand the difference between worshiping Krishna and worshiping the demigods. The destination is different. And the thing is, demigod worship destination is temporary, whereas worshipping Krishna, the destination is permanent. One does not come back. Choice is ours. How merciful is the Lord? He's given us a choice. He's not forcing us. He's given us a choice. What do we want? We want a permanent solution to all our problems. If yes, then we need to perform devotional service, bhakti yoga, based on the knowledge given to us in the Bhagavad Gita. You see, when we do that, then gradually we will cleanse ourselves and we will be able to receive the mercy of the Lord, and we will be able to become a Mahatma. Atma. Maha means great, Atma means soul. We'll become a great soul, which Krishna says is very, very rare. And how does it start? Bhakti Yoga starts with mantra meditation. We chant the holy names of the Lord given to us by Krishna himself. He's given it to us in the scriptures, and he himself appeared about 540 years ago as Chaitanya Mahaprabhu and gave us this Maha Mantra, how to chant the holy names, which mantra to chant, especially for Kali Yuga. Hare Nam, Hare Nam, Hare Nam, Eva Kevalam, Kalo Nasdeva, 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 Gati Ramita. Kalo means Kali Yuga. In this Kali Yuga, in this age in which we are, there is no other way, no other way, no other way except chanting, chanting, chanting. Chanting what? The Maha Mantra. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Ram, Ram Ram, Hare Hare. So when we do this mantra meditation on a daily basis, there's going to be purification of the heart. Excuse me. This is how we will be able to attain that position of Mahatma, the great soul. So today in all these verses from 19 through 23, we understood the difference between worshipping the Supreme Lord Krishna and worshipping the demigods. So I'm going to end here. If anyone has any questions or comments, you are welcome to ask.
Hello, Gita Dasiji. Good morning,
Yes.
good evening. This is Ravi here.
Yes.
How was your trip? How is everything? How is India?
Everything is perfect. Everything is perfect. And so far, it has been